Yeah, Jess, I'm recording now. Yep. Um, so as I was saying before to everyone, this is our first webinar. We want this to be more like a working session as opposed to like me just going through a bunch of slides. I started this and I was like, all right, I'm putting together all these slides. And then I was like, let me just work through this so people can just really just look over my shoulder as I kind of like work through this process. So that's what this is going to be. It's really not a webinar. It's a working session so you guys can get a good idea of how this is done actually in practice. I want to make this as actionable and as possible. So to kind of help me do that, I'm not really necessarily a natural teacher. I'm not. This is one of like my first webinars, so I'm probably gonna miss some things. I might go a little bit too fast. Um, some things I might not cover. So just ask a question. There's this little question box on the right hand corner. You can ask a question. Ask a question. I would do my very best to make sure I get to it and I actually answer that. Um, So let me actually just introduce myself real quick. Some of you guys know who I am. My name is Brandon Sellers. I'm community manager here at Nugget. Also do help out with our marketing. And I've been helping B2B SaaS startups to basically grow their users, from 0 to 10, 10 to 100. 100 and beyond for the last 5 or so years. Use a ton of different tactics. I love cold email outreach, which is what we're going to talk about today, but also do things like PPC, PPC/SEM, SEO, email marketing, content marketing, all types of inbound stuff, guerrilla tactics, and things like that. I've been doing this stuff for years with like these smaller SaaS startups. So I've really kind of developed. I hate calling myself an expert at all, but I've developed a skill set that has helped me to be able to do this for these companies, and I think it'll be really valuable for you guys to know this stuff. Starting off with the art of cold emailing for entrepreneurs. So. As far as what we're going to talk about today, we're going to start off by talking about why cold outreach. And then we're going to talk about, how do you figure out who you're going to target. We'll talk about how do you find that target, how do you find their contact information, how do you craft your message, how do you send those messages, how do you set up a follow-up, and then we'll talk about how you actually nail a call. We'll talk about the nail a call thing actually pretty briefly because that's a whole other thing and that'll be a whole other webinar. But those are like the main things that we're gonna talk about right now. So we're going to start with like, all right, why cold outreach? And it's really because cold email outreach just works. It works really, really well. You have to be in the right situation. So it's not applicable for B2C SaaS or B2C startups or at all. One, because it's illegal, and two, because it's just not scalable usually for B2C, mostly because it's illegal. Like that's actually against canned spam laws to cold email non-business companies. Completely fine, or not non-businesses, completely fine to email businesses, as long as you have an opt-out link. It is right. It works better if you target tech-enabled businesses. So, for instance, if you are a company that is targeting like dentists or veterinarians, they're not necessarily companies that are really, really tech forward all the time. So, because they're not, the decision maker isn't sitting in front of their computer all day, like looking at their phone all day or something like that. They're like curing diseases and helping animals, right? So to reach out to them, sometimes it's harder to do email, which is why you might want to do like a lot of people do use like cold calling for that. So you want to, it works better. It's not impossible, but it works better if you're in a tech-enabled business. You want to be able to identify the decision maker pretty clearly, which most of the time you're not going to have problems with, but you definitely just want to be able to identify the decision maker. And it takes a lot of hustle, which guess what? Like entrepreneurship, if you want to start a side project, like you're going to have to hustle. So that shouldn't be, everyone should be fine here, but it definitely takes a lot of hustle. You're not going to be able to kind of just sit back and have people come to you. This isn't 2007. SEO is not going to bring you thousands of visitors. You're going to have to go out and get them. But when you do cold outreach right, it's fast. It is fast and inexpensive. You could be set up in a cold outreach campaign in less than 2 hours. You could be set up with customer interviews in less than 4 hours, easily. So it's easy and it's fast and it doesn't cost you a thing. You know, you can do this in a couple of ways. I'm going to show you the way to do this with as little cost as possible. So I'm going to use a bunch of tools to kind of stitch together the process, and it might cost you like $30 if you need to buy LinkedIn, but that is literally it. Cold outreach is also very, very scalable. If you take a look at this, you know, this map here, I just wanted to illustrate, you know, how many B2B SaaS companies there are. You know, there might be a couple hundred there. There's a couple thousand, 15, 20,000, right, in the world. You can bet that of the big ones, about 70 to 75% of them were built on cold email outreach from the first day they started to right now when they're making their $1 billion. Zenefits, for example, $1 billion company. Their first marketing was cold outreach. Right now, the #1 way they get their leads is cold outreach. Companies like Salesforce, Outbrain, Marketo, HubSpot, the inbound marketing kings. They use their #1 lead generation source is cold email outreach. So it's scalable and it works. It also, let's go back to here. It also allows you to test messaging really easily. You can A/B test different emails, start to figure out, you know, what messaging actually works, and also teaches you how to sell. Because as an entrepreneur, if you're the founder, if you're the CEO of your company, you're going to have to be your best salesperson. You know, a lot of you guys are developers, and you're not quite used to being in a position where you need to sell. To change your mindset, and really a lot of what we're trying to do with Nugget is change your mindset from straight developer to entrepreneur. A big part of that change is realizing you need to sell, and you need to be the best at it. So starting to have those conversations early, starting to get comfortable on the phone, comfortable talking about your product and pitching it to people, you know, that's huge, and that's going to be something that cold outreach helps a lot with.
Hey, Brandon, quick question.
Yep.
Just to set expectations for people, you said it's fast. Let's say I wanted to speak to 10 people to start, you know, developing an idea or developing a market and trying to find an idea from that market. How many cold outreach emails do I have to send to get those 10 people? And how fast is it going to take, and how long should it take me for each email? Basically, that whole process.
So, I mean, so it depends on your skill set a little bit. I mean, I could probably do it in a couple hours, to be honest. And some people that we've been helping out at this point could probably do it in a couple hours. If you're new and you're just starting, you know, building your initial list, starting to build your actual email, build your email sequences, you know, that setup might take hour-wise, like 3 or so hours. But then once you kind of get rolling, if you get out 50 or so emails with depending on who you're actually targeting, with a customer development cold email outreach campaign, you should definitely be able to get a 20% plus positive reply rate. So that means 20% of your emails or 20% of the people that you reach out to should reply and say, yeah, I'm willing to be interviewed. It's not hard compared to actually selling. It's not hard at all to get customer development interviews if you do it correctly, which is kind of what we'll show you today.
You can build a campaign and send out 100 emails in a few hours, and then everything's good. Or
no. You can I wouldn't say you can build out and send a couple hundred emails in a few hours. I would say that what you should probably aim to do is get set up and send out 10 to 15 cold emails a day and expect to nail 2 to 4 interviews per day. I wouldn't necessarily try to do it all at the same time because it's like a really tedious task and it's boring and it's hard to do them all at the same time. I would say break it up by each day, bang it out an hour, getting 15 of these out, and then you will fill up your calendar. Definitely.
Cool, well, thanks.
Okay, so I keep having to check if there are questions. Justin, if you see like questions pop up, let me know in here.
Okay, we'll do, yeah.
All right, and then so let's talk about the tools that I'm going to show you today. There are a lot of them. Like there are some of these, there's LinkedIn, which is the big one. There's some like Boomerang, which is for actually sending the emails. Email Hunter, which is actually for finding the email addresses, along with Reportative and Clearbit. Those all help you actually find email addresses. I think this is for now Gorgeous or Gorgeous or something like that. I don't know, but it's awesome for like actually having like email templates. Reply Up is awesome for like follow ups. Persist IQ is an expensive tool for follow ups, along with like Reply. So there's all these tools that you should be using that I'll show you exactly how to use them. And I'm going to again show you in like the cheapest way possible. So we'll show you how to do this with Email Hunter for free, Reportative is free, Boomerang is free, Gorgias is free. LinkedIn might be like $30 to $40 a month if you have to use it, which I'm not completely sure. I always use Sales Navigator. It's because I do a lot of this sales stuff for a living. So I'm not really completely sure if you need to buy it, but if you do, it's like $30, $40 a month. Get a 30-day free trial. Use it as much as possible. If you're in entrepreneurship, it's a really, 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 really great thing to have. It'll make your life a lot easier. This ideal stack is a little bit more expensive. Persist IQ makes it a little bit easier to actually send emails. But we're going to focus on how to do this basically for free. So let's jump into it. And like I said, I'm just going to work through this like I was one of you guys. I talked to one of our Nugget members yesterday, and I was like, let me just can I just present this, and can I just show how I would do it if I were you. So that's what I'm going to do actually today. Is I'm just going to kind of present this how as if I was doing it, as if I was excuse me, as if I was them. So what you really want to do is whenever you get an idea, whenever something like that pops into your head, and you want to start thinking through, how do I solve this problem for this market, or I want to solve a problem for this market, or wherever you start with an idea, you want to use a lean canvas to basically get it all down on paper. I did another video, so I'm not going to go too in depth about the lean canvas, but or too in depth about how to fill it out. But a lean canvas is really critical because it just basically it lets you to have in 20 minutes write a business plan. In 20 minutes, figure out who I'm selling to, what problem I'm solving, what solution, how I'm going to reach people, what are the channels, the key metrics, how I'm going to sell this, what are the revenue streams. In 20 minutes, it lets you, I guess not figure it out. That's not the right way, not the right word. It lets you make hypothesis about, what these customer segments, problems, solutions, what these things are. These are hypotheses. And then what you're going to do in your customer development interviews is you're going to test these hypotheses. Like you're going to test and see, okay, is this really my customer segment? Is this really the problem that they're feeling? Are they feeling this problem? Is the solution actually solving this problem? These are the things you're going to want to test. So first and foremost, fill out a lean canvas. You don't have to have it completely filled out. As you can see, I have a bunch of holes in mine. Doesn't have to be completely filled out because a lot of the stuff you don't know, and you're just pretending to know if you do because you don't. So don't be afraid to just leave some stuff off.
Hey, Brandon, got a question for you.
Yep.
Sorry. Customer segment, are you going to go into that a bit deeper later, or is that something
we're going to go very deep into that?
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thanks.
We're going to go very deep into that. First, the person that I was talking to yesterday, they had a company that they were, they had an idea that they've been working on. They call it CME. And basically their idea is that they think SMB retailers You can see my customer segment there, 500K to 25, doing 500K to 25 million in revenue per year. They think that they have a problem with cart abandonment and basically customer acquisition costs because their previous buyers aren't coming back. And they think that's a problem because they don't have an intelligent email marketing solution that basically helps them market to people based on what they have, what they previously, how they previously have interacted with that company. So, for instance, Amazon does this really, really well. So if you go on Amazon, if you have something in your cart, they'll send you an email and say, hey, you forgot this in your cart. If you're looking at stuff, or if you add stuff to your cart, they'll send you an email and saying, hey, you might like this as well. And what that does is, for a lot of users, it basically just draws them back in. It draws them back in, so then they'll become like repeat buyers. And for e-commerce companies, they need to have repeat buyers, or else their customer acquisition cost gets really high, and a bunch of problems happen. So they think like these SMB retailers, they have this problem that is kind of going unsolved right now for a specific segment. So when you first want to start your cold email outreach campaigns, you want to start to develop your ideal customer profile and your ideal buyer profile. And these are different, right? Because the ideal customer profile talks about the actual company. You can call it ideal company profile to make it easier. The ideal company profile is about the actual company. So that's where you talk about the firmographics of the company. How much revenue they have, how fast are they growing, how many employees, what industry, where are they located. That is all about the company. Those are the firmographics. Then with the ideal company profile, again, you have the technographics. What technologies are they using? Are they using an email automation system? Are they using Facebook advertising? Are they using Gmail, Google Drive, Microsoft Word? What about them, what technologies are using that kind of like set them apart? And then, of course, as a company, what pain points are they having? Is it going to be, okay, I'm having problems growing? Okay, I'm having problems because I keep having to replace my customers. My customer acquisition cost is too high. What is the pain point that this company is facing? And then you talk about the ideal buyer profile, which is the person that is within that company that you're going to want to speak to. So, for instance, with this idea, we're going to want to talk to like a marketing manager, marketing director, a VP of marketing, because this is a problem where, okay, acquiring customers is getting too expensive. So what are the demographics of that person? What's their title? Do things like age, seniority, salary, their career route, their path roles, or things like that matter? If so, take them into account. Psychographics. What are this person's goal within the company? What are their strategies? What do they want to do with their career from here? If those things matter, take that into account as well. Key challenges. This is really the pain points for this specific person in this specific role. What are their pain points? This will align with the company's pain points a lot, but you just want to make sure that you take that into account. And so that's what I did here in our lean canvas. We lined up the firmographics, 500K to 25 million. That's how much revenue they're doing. 700K unique visitors to 5 million unique visitors. They're a high growth company. They might be in the fashion industry. Huge thing actually for this one is they're using Magento. And so that's kind of like a clear cut. Can't use this if they're not using Magento right now, at least. So that's a big thing. They're using Facebook ads. Maybe they're using some sort of email automation or marketing automation system, Autopilot, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, Campaign Monitor. They're using something there. And then for a buyer profile, we have marketing manager, director, or VP. That could also be an e-commerce manager. Someone that's really in charge of the customer acquisition role at the company. And that's going to change company for company. And a big problem for the company and the actual buyer profile, customer acquisition costs too high, cart abandonment too high as well. I could be wrong with all these things in terms of if they're actually true or not. But this is why we actually are doing the test. Like we're testing to see if the people the person that's going to buy this product, are they actually do they actually fit any of these firmographics, these buyer profiles, things like that. So I have my buyer profile. I know who I'm going to target. Big things that really stand out for me: size of the company in terms of revenue. Magento is huge, so Technographics is huge here. And then of course, we know when we want to target marketing manager, director, VP. So now we kind of get into the fun part here because we're going to talk about building the list. So, which you can do in a ton of different ways depending on your company. So if I was like, if I just, a lot of people want to target recruiters. Recruiters was something I heard, if I can spell. Recruiters were something that I heard a lot of. You can just simply go to LinkedIn, type in recruiters. All right, I got 945,000 people with the title of recruiter. We drill down to United States. Actually, let's search by the actual account. We drill down the United States here. We can drill down the company size. Let's say we want to do 11 to 50.
Do you
And
need to pay
boom.
extra to LinkedIn for this capability, for this search capability you've got here?
So I think so. I mean, I have Sales Navigator. So I already pay for that, and I think like LinkedIn over the past couple of years has started to limit people's searches. So I think if you're gonna have to pay for anything, LinkedIn would be the thing that you have to pay for. But again, LinkedIn is super, super, super powerful. And if you're a really serious entrepreneur, you're gonna have to be a really serious salesman. Really serious salesmen use LinkedIn. So you gotta
But
shout
not
out for LinkedIn.
to research, but not the in-mail. We never send a message through LinkedIn. We just
I
find
mean,
people.
there's like you're not gonna get people aren't gonna reply to LinkedIn like, to InMail. Like it never happens. Like InMail is not like if you have an InMail campaign and that's how you want to reach out to people. If you get lucky, I guess you might get someone, but no, like it's a complete waste. I hate
I never
InMail.
reply to mine.
Don't use it and go ahead. What did you say, Justin?
I'm just saying, yeah, you're right. I never reply to mine when I get those.
Exactly. No one does. Also, it's like not cost effective at all. I don't know, like you get like 15 with like a $90 plan. It's not gonna work. um, yeah, I just pulled a list of basically companies in the United States, 11 to 50 users. These are a bunch of recruiters. Really cool thing. If I want to like export this list, let's say I want to, just have this like in Excel, so maybe I can drill down a little bit further. I can use this little tool called Data Miner, which will basically scrape any page for the information that's on the page. And it has basically these like built-in recipes. So you don't have to really do any coding at all or do any like configuration. It'll just kind of pop up for you. So if I can get this to work. All right, so here it is. And I'm just gonna pull up the one page, but it'll basically you'll get a list of okay, here's a company, industry, other info. You'll be able to break this out by like company size, employee location, and things like that. So then you can get a little bit more. If you want to target a little bit better, you can use that to basically export a list and then target a little bit better, which is nice. But you basically you pull this list, you can drill down into them, figure out who your decision maker is, and then as we'll talk about later on, figure out how to actually get their contact information. So that's how I mean that's like, if you have something simple, you can do the same thing with like nutritionists if they're your target market or like personal trainers. You can really just do like a quick LinkedIn for the most part. Do like a quick LinkedIn search. I would always try to go by company and then drill down into the actual company to find the right decision maker. I would definitely do that. But again, let's just make this U.S. I just found 750 companies that are for work with personal trainers, kettlebell concepts. So I can click in here, drill down into the company, find the marketing manager, the VP of sales, the CEO that I want to actually talk to. Boom. So I just found the chief operating officer super quickly. Or, sorry, he's consultant. Master instructor. Found them super quickly. So let's kind of get back on track with CME. So we are supposed to be we're supposed to be finding a bunch of companies that are using Magento. So if I had a whole bunch of money, I could use a tool called Datanize or similar tech, which will basically just feed me a list of like 100,000 of these companies. I don't have like $300 a month to spend right now on that. So I'm going to use a couple of different cool tools. One of them, which I love, is Angel.co. And then so I can basically uh, search for companies. And Angel.co is great because you can search by like a lot of different tech factors and market factors and like hiring factors, raising things like that. So you can search for companies by a lot of different things. And it's also obviously like very startup focused, which is nice when you want to talk to companies because those startups they were in your position not too long ago, right? So they are a little bit more willing, a little bit easier to actually get a hold of and talk to, because they a lot of times they empathize with you. But if I want to find a big list of Magento, I'm just going to look. I'm just going tech field, find Magento, and I can find. I mean, I can do this for anything, for HubSpot or probably like Marketo. I can do this for if you name a technology. I could find it and I could sort by it, and boom, I just found 692 companies that use Magento. Um, the list, I can then decide. All right, I'm gonna filter down because I don't know Warby Parker. They raised $275,000. Their CEO might not want to talk to me right now. He might be a little busy. But then, boom, I have a list of smaller companies that are actually in the target market that we laid out of doing 500K to 25 million in annual revenue. And then what I can do is, sometimes Enter.co is wrong, so I want to double check and make sure that this actually is the company using the technology that I want. So this is where I'm going to use this tool called Datanize, which I was saying before is like this. Datanize is like a $6,000 a year like type of product, but they have this really, really, really awesome cheap tool, not cheap, free tool, free plugin that basically lets me see what technologies companies using on their website. So I can see, okay, they're using Google AdWords, they're using Skimlinks, Google Analytics, of course. They've got Datalogix, Media Math, boom, e-commerce platform. They're using Magento. So I know this is in our target market. I know this is the company that I want to talk to. Also, you can see, okay, how much revenue they're doing, about how much employees, their funding, their Alexa score, their phone number, address, a lot of really cool information that they give you here. So that's one awesome way to find someone based on a technograph. Another really cool way is using StackShare, which is really a developer community. It's not actually for you're not really supposed to do this. It's not like for like prospecting or anything like that, but you know what, you can because it's pretty awesome for that. So if I search for Magento, I'm gonna go over here to stacks. Boom! I just have a stack. Have 185 companies that are using Magento that I can drill down into. So I can just
It's good to
pick
see.
one of them.
Sorry, Brandon, just interrupting, but it's good to see your way of thinking about this. So LinkedIn is a resource. This site, StackShare is a resource. Basically, you're thinking of any website out there that has lists of companies and has ways of searching it, and that can be part of your arsenal, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Like you should be kind of creative in how you want to look at targets. Like, because I mean, if you have something simple like, all right, I want to target recruiters, then that could be a good starting point. But if you have something a little more complicated, or if you want to get a little bit more deeper in who you're targeting, you could do that. And I bet like there's a lot of different lists that you can pop up. Like if I just Google, Magento websites, I think I did this before. You could, yeah, like you could,
So one thing we'll do is
you
when we
know,
post this in the community, we'll put links to a number of these key websites as well, and ones that you know about that are like staples for you. We'll put them all there
yeah,
in the thread.
yep, definitely. We're gonna have an update to actually our blog post, so you can go back and kind of reference it. Um, but just kind of like talking about thinking outside the box. Like I just found this website about that has a bunch of Magento e-commerce websites on there. And all I have to do is I can click our little data miner tool here, and I can scrape this entire website and then clean the list. Because what this data miner would do is it'll grab every link on this web page, but it's really easy to then go and just clean the list and say, hey, like only have HTTP links or something, or however you can clean it. It's really easy to actually clean this list. And then you just have another like 100 or 50 or how many like Magento websites. So there are a couple really great places. Oh, another one's like SpyFu. Like if I wanted to say, okay, I want to make sure that they're doing a certain amount of ad spend. So is Monica and Andy, are they doing any ad spend at all? SpyFu for absolutely free will tell you pretty much exactly how much they're spending on AdWords right now. They're spending $2.3 thousand per month on AdWords. If I want to make sure that I'm targeting people that are actually spending money on AdWords, which could definitely be like a factor in this CME's idea, this is the way to do it. They would be in that target market. So this is another cool thing to do it. So there's just like a wealth of tools that you can get information about companies from that will help you to figure out who exactly you want to talk to. So, let's drill down into Suyana. Let's say, I want to talk to them. They look really good. Let me go to their website, check out the rest of their firmographics. Let's look at data nice. Okay, their revenue is right where we want it. Their employees are. Um, okay, they're in the fashion industry. They are using Magento. Great. All right, I want to talk to them. So what I like to do is if I want to find their LinkedIn page really quickly, I just go and search their domain in LinkedIn. It'll pop up. First one here. All right, this is Suyana. I'm just going to go ahead and look at all of their employees. All right, now I want to talk to the marketing people, all right? So all I really need to do is just go to advanced search, type in marketing, and they should be like right here at the top, and they are. So I got Wendy, I got Irene, I got Jennifer as an e-commerce manager, sales assistant. All right, so co-founder. Let me check to make sure I don't have any questions. So the 700K to 5 million monthly active users, it was actually unique visitors, but that was just a hypothesis. So that was just something where I said, all right, I think that you know our sweet spot here is going to be companies that are what we were basically doing is we were trying to define what SMB means. So where do they get to the point where they are able to afford something bigger, so we're not really feeling like that gap. We're trying to find a gap there. And then so that was just basically an estimate where we said, okay, we think 700,000 to 500 to 5 million unique visitors, that's where like that gap was. So that's really just like a hypothesis. This is like the old version of LinkedIn. It hasn't even changed with a new one. I have no idea what the old version of LinkedIn honestly is versus the new one. Um, do I have the old? I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't noticed anything changed. I use Sales Navigator a lot, so I'm not usually in the regular LinkedIn. So I'm not quite sure about that. So good questions though. Jumping back to it, yeah, we have Wendy, Irene, Jennifer here that we were talking about who we could choose. Right off the bat, you're not going to know. Like again, we're at the point of hypothesis. Like we don't know anything. We don't know if you should be talking to a VP. We don't know who the decision maker is at this company or any company. So what we want to do is we just kind of want to take a shot, and then because these are our first interviews, we kind of want to take a shot and start to talk to whoever we can. And then so usually it's easier to get on the phone a director as opposed to a vice president. And I feel like the marketing person will be a little bit more in charge of customer acquisition costs than the e-commerce manager, given that they are both. So I'm just gonna go after Irene right now. And one thing to remember is uh, done is better than perfect. So if you don't know sometimes, especially when you're just talking about like who to target for an outreach, just take a shot. If they don't reply or if you get in like a call with the wrong person or they don't really know anything, it's not like the end of the world. But don't get stuck like who do I pick? Just just move. Make mistakes like 1,000 miles per hour. So we have Irene here. We feel like we want to reach out to Irene. Let's jump into. We want to find her email address. Hunter.io is going to be your best tool. It's free for like 150 credits. 150 credits. It does a really good job of guessing the email address. And then, but Hunter.io is wrong like a pretty decent amount of times, so I always pretty much check it. And then to check it, this is where I use a tool called Reportive, excuse me. And what that does is it pops up this. So if I find Irene and she pops up in my sidebar here and it looks like her LinkedIn profile pretty much, I know I'm right. I know this is her email address. I know that pretty much without a question. So then I'm
Those are
able to
both
start crafting.
extensions.
What would you
Just
say?
just just pointing out those are both extensions, and they're kind of adding functionality to Gmail and also to LinkedIn. That's why you're seeing buttons directly inside LinkedIn and directly inside Gmail.
Yes, they're both Chrome extensions, completely free Chrome extensions. Well, I'm sorry, Hunter.io. There's paid plans, but you should only have
That
to pay for the
that's a really clever
later.
way of validating the email address. I'm very impressed. Nice.
Yeah. Also, like, say for instance, there's another really cool tool called what is this called? Name to email. Yeah. And so sometimes like you won't know like at all who you are trying to reach. Like sometimes the email hunter won't really give you um a good won't give you a valid answer. What you can use is name to email, and you just type in that person's name and then type in the domain. Then it's going to give you all of the most likely permutations of that email address. And then you just keep scrolling over. And then either this, which is the
Yeah,
Gmail,
that's
which is Google's link, or Reportive, it'll change. So you just like keep scrolling. Just keep scrolling. And then you'll eventually find it. If I want to, I don't know, I don't know if this will work. Never tried this before. I doubt this is his real email address.
That's a great technique. That's worth the cost of admission right there.
Yeah. All right, Tim Cook might be a little bit harder to find than we might have a hard time finding Tim Cook, but this works really well. Another really cool tool is Clearbit. You only get like 50 shots at Clearbit, but it is like pretty spot on. So it basically it works pretty much just like Email Hunter, except you actually search for the company. So let me try to find this company. Monica and Andy. That's Monica and Andy. And boom, like it easily found her. And Clearbit is just a little bit more, and boom, you can already see it popping up in reportative down there. Um, and Clearbit is just a little bit more accurate than Email Hunter, but you only get like 50 credits or so with Clearbit, whereas Email Hunter you get 150. So that's another really great way to find email addresses. And then so let's go back to Irene. What was her email address? All right, let's plug Irene back up. We have her there. Okay, so now we want to craft our message. And let's look down here at, you know, I put out a couple months ago at this point. We put out this offer, this PDF with with templates about how you can structure your cold emails. One thing I didn't really explain super well was that you don't need to go exactly how the template. I mean, the template is just kind of like a guide. What you should do is you should take kind of like the principles that go along with that template and just put it in your voice. So it feels genuine to you, and if it feels genuine to you, it's going to feel genuine to the person that you're actually reaching out to. So you want it to feel a little bit human. You want it to feel like you actually looked at their email address. But for the template, I like to have what I call a CRRO, which is a compelling reason to reach out, which is basically where you do most of your personalization. That's just saying, okay, um, that's just basically saying, okay, this is where I found you. I found you because I was looking at your Twitter feed. I found you because there was an article about you. I found you because I saw this blog post, and you're awesome because of it. Like, do some sort of like ego stroking, especially in these customer development interviews, because that's really like the point of having value that you can add there. So that's where that personalization comes in. Is that very, very first line. If you don't do it in the first line, you're gonna lose people like pretty much instantly. And then the second part, the second snippet, explain, a little bit about what you're doing, why they can help, why they're a specific person that they can help, and talk a little bit about how much it will mean to you, and mention that you are looking for advice. And I like to do this. I've talked to people that have done really well without doing this. I have talked to people that have done really well with doing this. I like to do this. It's just have a line in there saying, this isn't a sales call. I just want to pick your advice, pick your brain to get some advice. I like saying this is not a sales call, so I like to like reinforce it. And for some markets, it really works well, I think, especially like when you're starting to get into like people that are busier and busier, like more like towards SMB or SMB type companies. I think that works really well. But that's something that you can kind of just see, what works the best for you. So in practice, like an email came out, I sent this to a guy named Bill. He had on his LinkedIn profile, he had a YouTube video he created. So I, researched him, and for my CRO, I just mentioned, hey man, I saw your LinkedIn video, and you talked about making the ask, and I was like, all right, Bill, I'm gonna make the ask of you. And then so I kind of like turned around what he said. He recognized, all right, he will actually watch my video. He turns around with me. That was pretty clever. I'll go ahead and respond. He responded back. This other guy, Bryce, he I researched him, looked on his Twitter. He was a Louisville fan. Um, and it was on his LinkedIn profile as well. He was a Louisville fan. This was back when the national champion or when the Heisman Trophy race was going on, and I basically just mentioned that, like, hey, Louisville's recruiting page, they tweeted out something about they wanted Jabril Peppers to win. That's pretty funny. Okay, by the way, blah 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 blah. So then I just kind of caught his attention. He's like, okay, that was a pretty clever email. Got an interview from that. So in order to kind of like think of those, you know, personalization statements in the beginning, and this is another thing that I'll make sure everyone gets, I have basically this list of snippets where I can like personalize them. And then so I usually don't can them kind of like how they're canned right here, because I usually can think of them at this point pretty quickly. But what you can do is you can say, okay, I read your blog posts about topic. Um, then you have another content piece where you explain about the topic. I read your case study about. I read X case study, and then have a piece about what you thought about the case study. And then there's a lot of different. I read your recent tweet. I heard about your recent accomplishment. I saw like a really great review that you had. I saw that you had a LinkedIn post. I saw that you moved your company's headquarters. Your company Twitter page is hilarious. You have these Facebook posts. I see that you're hiring. All these points that you can use to basically customize your email message that are just really good and just really show people, hey, I actually did my research on you. I'm not just like spamming everyone. You specifically, I want to talk to you because you are special, and that's how you want to make people feel. So you're going to want to put that in a template. And to do that on the cheap, I use this wonderful app, Gorgias or Gorgias or however you pronounce it. It's awesome. Basically, it allows me to create these templates, which you can do in Gmail, but I just like Gorgias a little bit better. It usually will fill in like the first name, but sometimes it doesn't quite get there. So I can say, hey Irene. All right, I want to think of a CRO. Let me see what pops up on her on the internet. Ba, 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 ba. Where? Uh, she have like a Twitter. Twitter is really good for just pointing out, like, hey, I saw that you tweeted this. This is funny. It's really good for like kind of connecting there. All right, this is her. Okay. Don't miss my friend. All right, so it looks like she has a. Okay, so she has like a whole photo shoot like dedicated to her, pretty much on this smartflyer.com. Okay. Actually, my fiance actually talks about this all the time. A trip to San Francisco isn't complete without a visit to the second floor showroom in the heart of Union Square. All right, so then I'm gonna go back to here, and I'm just gonna make something up. Hiring. I was looking into Suyanna and came across your photo shoot with what's this called? Smart Flyer. Smart Flyer. How awesome. Something she says. And I'm just like looking for like things I can point out that are specific about this article. I'm just looking like, okay, she joined MBA after Stanford, but does she have any quotes here? Does she say anything specific? Is she wearing something? Uh, she's she say anything? Well, she doesn't really say anything, so this is a little bit hard. So my fiance is a fashion blogger actually, and she would actually love this shoot. All right, so then I just basically came up with something in like 2 minutes. I was looking into Sienna because everyone knows like you don't really have to be feel like you need to be clever and be like, all right, I just found you randomly on the internet. Everyone knows that you were looking for a specific type of company to talk to. So it's fine to just say, hey, I was looking into your company, and then I just I came across your photo shoot on SmartFlyer, and that was particularly awesome. My fiance is a fashion blogger and would have loved this will love this write up. I'm gonna go ahead and send it to her. So that way she understands that, hey, I looked at her specifically. Like I could not send this email to pretty much anyone else unless someone at Suyana, who was the director of marketing, also did like a photo shoot with SmartFire, which is a pretty specific group. So, I personalized that so that she knows, I looked specifically into her. She's like flattered. Um, I make her feel like she's special, like in my eyes. um, and then I kind of go through, and my email says I also noticed your company using Mailchimp. I could replace this with whatever they're actually using, and I can just get this from. I know this is in the Sienna, but I know I can just get this from Data like they're using. Uh,
So this was about Magento, right? So do you want? I mean, how would you say that? Because
we don't
um,
need to
it,
say
it
that though.
yeah, because it almost looks like you're spying on them to know that they're using Magento. So maybe you'd phrase that differently, or what would you say?
What do you mean? So like using Magento was just like a requirement for the product, right? So
Got it.
if so so if they're going to use a product right now, they need to use Magento. Saying that they use um, Mailchimp or whatever is saying that they are trying to do what we're trying to solve. So they're trying to have some sort of marketing automation system, but maybe they're not doing it as well as we think like our potential solution is doing it. So we're
Got
talking.
it.
So
Got it.
with that, we're talking about how to like replace it. So mentioning that kind of sets them up to think like, okay, this conversation is going to be about marketing automation, if that makes sense. So the Magento part, you don't necessarily. It doesn't need to be said really.
Yeah, got it.
And then I don't know if they're using Mailchimp or not. Actually, like you can use Data Nice to figure that out. It'll tell you again, like I can look on Data and Eyes and it'll say email marketing privy. So I know who their email marketer is. Suyana's actual website will say the same thing. I was gonna keep this. Um, I build software for a living, and I'm currently working on a product engine to help e-commerce companies like yours decrease cart abandonment and CAC. So I kind of set her up a little bit so that she understands what we're trying to talk about. I want to have conversations with top marketing managers, a little bit of like stroking her ego, which will really help me build a better product. I like to again say I'm not looking to build anything, but given your extensive background in e-commerce, I love your advice on your product. Again, kind of like stroking the ego. And then at the end, make sure you have a CTA. Will you be up for a 10 to 15-minute chat sometime next week? So I could kind of pick your brain. Let me check if there are any questions. Oh, she did a
Brandon,
bunch.
I've answered the questions. I sent them out already, so you don't need to go into this.
Awesome. Okay, and then you can also use Gorgias. I'm not gonna send out this email right now, but you can also use Gorgias to choose your follow-up messages. A quick note about follow-ups: they usually you want to add value with every single email. If you were actually doing sales, you would want to add value by basically showing, hey, this is how we can help your business, and you will want that in every single email, including the follow-ups. With uh, with customer development, you don't really have that. Like you can basically stroke their ego a little bit, or you can be entertaining. You can do one of those two things. So it's hard to do that over what I would if I was doing a sales campaign, I would have like 7 emails. Um, but with customer development, I would have like 3 because like your second email message, it can be something like simple like, hey, I want to bump this to the top of your inbox. I know these things can slip through the cracks. CTA. Just to say, hey, don't forget about me. Give them another chance. Chances are like there's a really high probability that they're gonna actually reply to that. And then you can have like a third email that is a little bit more fun. Let's see, like here, I have like this. I have a GIF incorporated. I just say, hey, answer back A, B, C, or D, and then kind of like try to spark like a conversation. So that's where like I try to just be like a little bit entertaining there. Again, like be creative. Don't be like confined by a template. Try to be entertaining, and just like say something, again, short, to the point. Have a strong
Brandon,
CTA. Um,
Brandon, sorry. One question that's come up a couple of times is about a tool like was it Reply Up or something like that? I mean, basically, what people want to know is there a way that they can automate the way of the follow-up process and that type of thing?
yeah, I kind of forgot to mention that because that is one thing that I like Boomerang for. So you can automate your follow-up sequence. I don't really like to do that because I like to make sure that every message is what I want to say, really. So that's why if I'm doing this on the cheap, like I use something like Persist IQ, which does this automatically. But if I'm doing this on the cheap, I use something like Boomerang to just I can click that, and Boomerang is just a tool that allows me to send later and basically reminds me to follow up with emails. So I can click Boomerang, hey, follow up me in 2 days if there's no reply, or follow up in 4 days, or follow up at this specific date, or in an hour, or whatever if there's no reply. Follow up, and then it also like will add like link tracking as well. So I like to do that a lot as opposed to using reply up, which will automate it, but also it will automate it. like you so if you messed up something in like an email, like you're not gonna have the chance to go back and check over that. If you want to add like a little customization in your email, you're not gonna have a chance. It's just gonna automatically like send stuff out,
How
kind of like Mailchimp would.
how does Boomerang let you know about that you need to do a follow-up? What's the kind of way it does
There's
that?
a reminder. There's a reminder in your sidebar.
Got it. So you'll go into your Gmail, you'll see a reminder on the sidebar, you'll click it, and then you can start replying to them.
Exactly.
So it's always personalized that way versus automated follow-up tools that that's probably going to leave a bad taste in some scenarios.
It can definitely. I mean, a lot of times it won't, especially if you only have a couple follow-ups. But again, like, you know, especially when you're starting this company, like you're gonna want these customer development interviews to go far. Like you're gonna want these people to be your first customers. You're gonna want them to be genuinely somehow invested. Like that's the goal, to have these people be genuinely like invested in you and your company. And you're not gonna get people to be genuinely invested in you and your company if you're not invested in them enough to just send them one-off
Two
emails.
2 points here. One is that from what we've seen Habib and some others doing, the follow-ups are absolutely key. Like some of the best responses have happened through follow-ups. And the second point is that you just mentioned there about people being invested. I have seen a few times when people start getting into this process, you meet someone who is passionate about what you're doing, and all of a sudden they become a major force and a major driver in your startup because they're such a geek about it, and that's like your
Yeah.
first champion, I guess. And when you meet a champion like that and start talking to them, they start bugging you about what's the progress on this project and things like that, and it starts to give you motivation. It's a very very excellent thing to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome, right? Because then you kind of start to build like this passionate tribe, like you're onto something. Like maybe that's not like but you man, like if you have someone like at that point, like you're doing something right, and you're onto something. So definitely, I mean that should be like a big confidence booster. And this is Stephen. So if you Boomerang is a free tool, definitely to that will show you who is opening your emails. So this is one way to do it. Reply up, which was one Justin stated. That does show that as well, and that's a little bit more automated. Like I was saying, they have a free plan, I believe, which is branded and has like some limitations. But then they have a couple like cheap paid plans. Like it's like a $12 a month tool. It's not bad. But I like to use if I like to I like to be personalized, and I like to use Boomerang to do that because it's like just the simplest way to do it. So, yeah, that will be the follow-ups. You send the follow-ups, like Justin said, follow-ups are huge, and then you get to the call, um, which is important. We're not going to really go into that today because we're already like over an hour here, and I could go. That's a completely another webinar, which we'll have to do at a later point. So, that's kind of how to do the cold email process. We talked about how to go. What do we talk about here? We talked about why cold outreach is important. Figured out who to target, found them on the internet in a couple of different ways, found their contact info, crafted the message, talked about how to send follow-ups, how important they are, and just briefly kind of touched on nailing the call. Again, that's a whole nother webinar. But that's like it. That's like the complete process. Obviously, your process is going to be specific to you, which is why me and Justin and the other mentors are kind of here to help you and kind of guide you through the process. So um, that's kind of like my presentation. Now I want to open it up for anyone that has any follow-up questions.
Does Brandon have a course on this?
I think we're kind of going through
Dan,
it.
this kind of is the course. But if you're a Nugget member, you've got Brandon on tap basically. So
You
that's part
do.
of the life mentorship. So
You
we
do.
we will put key key videos like this within our forum, which will always be available for people to look at. And then as you start doing stuff yourself, you'll be able to Slack us and get into the detail of what you're doing.
Yeah. And we'll break this down. We're gonna have lots of blog posts, lots of videos on like the individual pieces of this, because I'm sure this is a lot for a lot of you guys. So we'll definitely break this down. We'll make sure that's digestible. But again, we're kind of here for to help you with this stuff. William, so start with a 15-day. What is it? What do you mean by that?
I think he means like 15 emails a day. Like so start sending out 15 emails a day is probably the question.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need to send out 100 at a time. Start with 15 a day. Um, be personalized in
How
them.
long
You don't have
per
to start with
email with the
15 a day.
personalization?
How long you should be taking?
Yeah, how long should you take per email with your personalization stuff?
Cap have a hard cap at 5 minutes for sure. A hard cap. Try to hit like 3 4 minutes per email. Like use this template. It's not really a template, but use these like examples. These are great. It took me a while to kind of just figure out like the specific things I wanted to look for. So you'll get real good at being like blog posts, Twitter, case study, award, whatever, and just finding stuff. And then you'll get real good about how to turn that into something you can talk to. So 3 4 minutes per email, spend an hour and a half a day, and to just kind of like start to get yourself rolling there.
Okay, so you're saying if you start working on an email to someone and you've got to the 4 minute point and you think you could just go a bit further and you start doing a bit more research and it's ended up at 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, you're like, okay, just cut it. Just you can get back to that one later, cut it, move to the next one who's easy. Get to the point where you just work on the one so you can get the stuff done in 5 minutes in email. Is that right?
Yeah, get rolling. Let yourself get rolling. Then come back if you're having trouble with one. Come back to it later. Let yourself get rolling because you don't want to just like burn like 20 minutes on one email. You have gotten like 3 or 4 out at that time. So you don't want to do that. Obviously, like it's not like exact, but try to like be disciplined and cut yourself off at a certain point.
So William's asking, do you find this better than direct cold calls? And I'm guessing
Yeah,
the answer's. I used to so tell us. Yeah, answer.
yeah. I mean, because cold calling sucks. Like you do, like it's time consuming. It's hard as shit to find phone numbers. You have to like go through a. You have to call them during like daytime hours, which a lot of you guys don't like have. Like you have day jobs. Like you don't have 4 hours to sit and cold call people. You have to call during daytime hours, and you have to like navigate a decision maker to find the person you want to talk to. So it's not it's not a process that you would really want to go through, and it's a lot less fun. Even if you don't think email outreach is fun, it's a whole lot less fun doing cold outreach, and it really doesn't work as well. You can't get as many, and you don't get as many connects. And when you do get connects, they're like cold connects. Like they're like, why are you reaching out to me?
Yeah, they
So,
really don't.
um,
People hate. I mean, I hate cold calls myself.
yeah. So no, just I mean, even if you are a if you're a sophisticated sales organization at Salesforce or something like that, they don't even use cold calling expecting people to pick up. They use cold calling as just another way to basically have a touch point. Voicemails are the biggest thing for cold calling at this point. For a sophisticated sales organization, no, they're not looking to just connect with you. They're looking to leave a voicemail saying, "Hey, I just sent something in your inbox. I just want to make sure you got it. Please go ahead and give me an email back if you can." So no, I mean even at those levels, cold calling is kind of it's a tool, and phone is something that you need to use, but you need to use it differently now than you did 15, 20 years ago.
So does anyone else on the line have any questions before we wrap this thing up?
All right, I think
I think we're good to go.
yeah, I think we get getting a couple of things. All right, cool guys. We're hanging out in the Slack channel. We're gonna do this again in 2 weeks from now, where we're gonna talk about how to build a landing page, how to drive traffic through that via like Facebook or really mostly mostly Facebook or and like social channels, and then how to use that for quantitative validation. So I think that'll be a fun one as well, and a kind of a different take than what we're kind of hammering, which is cold emailing right now. So if you're working on something that's kind of like a B2C SaaS, like this will be the kind of main thing, or that one will be a important one for you guys to hear. So yeah, thanks guys for joining. Justin, you got anything else?
Just thanks so much. You blew my mind there a few times with some of the different tools and techniques you used. Very, very impressive stuff. I'll be using it in my show and tell when I get round to picking the idea and starting to build my initial list. Nice.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Oh wait, well, we have one more question. Do we need a landing page before emailing? Nope, you don't need anything. Not at all. Don't worry about a landing page. I mean,
That's the benefit. That's the whole
it
point. In
yeah,
fact,
yeah.
this is kind of what I was saying in the video that I was just recording today, that I haven't released and sent out to you guys. But it's like it's crazy that we as developers do anything else. Like you just don't need to build anything. You don't need any code. You don't need any design. You don't need a logo. All you need is you, a customer, and a conversation, and you can start to build and validate a business. And it's crazy that we do it another way, because that is the most optimal way. The most optimal way is to just get on the phone to people and start talking, and then you can find out whether you got something.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just like the developer mindset, and you guys just want to just make stuff, which is awesome, and that's like an awesome instinct. But that's just one thing you kind of got to hone in a little bit, and just before you build, just try to talk to people. Just talk to people. Like you can act fast, and you can make your hypothesis quickly, and you can test them quickly. But before you do, there's a good therapeutic for that. Before you do, just a little bit of kind of like impulse control. Put down the Python, I don't know, Ruby, whatever you guys use, and just kind of pick up an email tool for a second.
Nice. All right. Okay.
All right, guys.
All right. I'm even seeing there.
That is,
Such a feels such an urge to build. This is good therapy to
yeah,
hear that from what you were saying. Yeah, I mean, we're all about that, and that's the successful business stack video that I'm going to hopefully get edited in the next few days. Will really hammer this point home in a succinct way. All right, guys.
yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thanks a ton,
You have
guys. Talk next week. 2 weeks.